Moment, may I request you to join me in recitation of Amen 5 times for Shifa Marda. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Amman yujibul mudtarra idha da'ahu wa yakshifu as-su'. Amman yujibul mudtarra idha da'ahu wa yakshifu as-su'. Amman yujibul mudtarra idha da'ahu wa yakshifu as-su'. أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم إنا نسألك وندعوك باسمك العظيم الأعظم الأعز الأجل الأكرم يا الله. Together. يا الله 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 يا رحمن يا رحيم يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. اللهم يا من اسمه دواء وذكره شفاء. Together. اللهم يا من اسمه دواء وذكره شفاء. اللهم يا من اسمه دواء وذكره شفاء. بحق مريض كربلاء زين العابدين شافي مرضانا ومرضى المؤمنين والمؤمنات لا السيما المريض المنظور برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. الفاتحة. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والجنة للمطيعين والنار للعاصين. ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء وأعز المرسلين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وبآله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين الذين ذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. أما بعد فقد قال الله الحكيم محكم كتابه المبين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ثم لتسألن يومئذ عن النعيم. آمنا بالله وصدق الله العلي العظيم. we want our sins we all have our shortcomings, and sometimes it's difficult for us to remember the sins which we have committed in the past. And there is no doubt that there are so many sins which we commit, sometimes intentionally, sometimes unintentionally. But we don't remember them. And if we want sincerely that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should forgive all those sins, then one of the things which we have been told to do is to recite continuously salawat on Muhammad and Ali Muhammad. And it is also recommended in Islam to recite salawat loudly. And also the reciter for that matter. Because if the audience is going to recite salawat as if they are half asleep, oh no, then it will be difficult to know whether they are really awake when we are talking to them or not. Salawat is a kind of fuel, is a kind of boost which gives that energy to people to listen to the words of Hidayah, to listen to the words of guidance. So my request is that you will not see usually the reciter reciting salawat loudly, but we are also reciting. To save the voice, because we have to speak for an hour and a half. No, I'm not going to take that long. But we are there reciting. We should recite salawat loudly, inshallah. Please recite salawat. In the 8th and the last verse of Surah Al-Takathur, which is chapter 102 of the Holy Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ثُمَّ لَتُسْأَلُنَّ يَوْمَئِذٍ عَنِ النَّعِيمِ. And then you will most certainly be questioned on that day about the na'im, about the bounties. Basically, in this verse of the Holy Quran, Allah is forewarning us and telling us that He will be asking us, He will be questioning us on the day of Qiyamah, on the day of judgment, about the bounties which He had bestowed upon us in this life. And among those bounties for which we shall be held accountable, the most important of all is the wilayah and the mawaddah of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, the authority and the guardianship and the deep and intense love of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. The love of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam demands total submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and obedience to His commands. Therefore, it is important that if we claim that we are the followers of Ahlul Bayt, we are the Shi'as of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, then we should tread upon the path that has been shown to us by them. Mu'minin, we continue with our discourse on the topic of the mission of Imam Hussein alayhi salam and our responsibilities. The primary objective of Imam's movement, as we all know, was to protect and safeguard the religion of Allah, which is Islam. And at that time, there were two essential requirements for him to be able to achieve this goal, this objective. One was tahtimus sultatul ja'ira, was to destroy the oppressive government that existed at the time. To bring down and to destroy the government of Yazid and the Umayyads, because they were the root cause of all fasad and corruption at that time, that had distracted people from Islam, had deviated people from Islam. The stance of Imam against Yazid was for three reasons, main reasons. One, Yazid was an unfit ruler. Two, he was a despotic ruler. And three, Yazid's rulership and lifestyle had impacted the belief and the practices of the people at that time. So Imam had to rise against him and address the root cause of the problem, and that was to eliminate the rulership of Yazid. This was one of the essential requirements which we discussed. The second essential requirement which we talked about last night was Islahul Ummatul Muslima, was to bring about reformation in the nation of his grandfather, the Messenger of Allah. If you remember, last night we discussed 2 points. One was that Imam's movement was for Islahul Ummah and not Islahul Deen. Reformation of the people and not reformation of the religion. Always keep this in your minds, inshallah. Religion of Islam did not and does not require any reformation. What Imam wanted was to bring the people who had deviated from the true path of Islam back to Islam. Therefore, my brothers and sisters, in this life, whenever you hear anybody talking about reforming the deen or reforming the mazhab, an alarm bell should ring immediately in your minds and tell you that there is khatar here, there is danger over here. So this is one of those points which we discussed last night. The other point was that the movement of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, the mission of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam, enables us to revisit and assess our relationship with the Imam of our time. When Imam Hussein alayhi salam called out to the people for help, he invited people to join him when he departed from Medina. He invited them to join him when he left Makkah, and indeed at every station he stopped, he introduced himself and made his aim very clear. His final call was made on the day of Ashura, when all his family members and companions were killed, and he stood wahidan farida, calling out, "Ala min nasirin yansuruna," is there anyone to aid me? This was his final call. Throughout this period, we will find that the reaction of people were of 3 kinds. Number one, there were those who were indifferent. They did not bother with the Imam. They simply did not budge. They did not move to help Imam. One. Number two, there were those who came with the Imam till Karbala, but abandoned him in his last moments. And 3, there were those who laid down their lives, they sacrificed their lives for the sake of Imam, for the sake of Islam. And among them were also those who actually, when they heard the prediction of Karbala, they eagerly waited for the day to come so that they could lay down their own lives. These are the 3 reactions of the people at that time. And these are those 3 ways through which we can assess our relationship with Hussein of our time. Are we amongst those who are not bothered about the Imam in his presence? Or are we amongst those who, when Imam comes, we will give him lip service, be with him, but at the time of his need, we will abandon him? Or are we amongst those who are truly, at the moment, doing what is known as intizar, truly waiting for him to come, eagerly waiting for him to come? The way we respond to Imam Hussein and say, Labbaik ya Hussein, on his call of Al-Bin Nasirin Yansuruna, are we going to use the same slogan and prove it with our actions when the Imam will emerge from his ghaiba, from his occultation? So basically, this was the summary of what we have been discussing in the last 3 nights. It is my habit, my brothers and sisters, that I usually provide that summary so that it settles in the subconscious minds of the listeners. It is very important. And there are some very important messages for us through which we can derive lessons for ourselves and reform ourselves during these days of mourning, these days of Azza, one of the things which Imam did in his mission was to revive and give life to the practice of Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi Anil Munkar. You have heard about Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi Anil Munkar. Imam alayhi salam, when he was departing from Medina, he had given a statement which I related last night. He said to the people, إِنِّي لَمْ أَخْرُجْ أَشْيَرًا وَلَا بَطِرًا وَلَا مُفْسِدًا وَلَا ظَالِمًا. I have not departed from Medina due to evilness, with evil intention, or due to self-discontentment, or to cause corruption and injustice in the society. وَإِنَّمَا خَرَجْتُ لِطَلَبِ الْإِصْلَاحِ فِي أُمَّةِ جَدِّ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ. I have actually departed to reform the nation of my grandfather, the Messenger of Allah. And how was he proposing to do that? Imam then says, أُرِيدُ أَنْ آمُرَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَأَنْهَى عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ. I desire to bid what is good and to forbid what is evil. This is Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi Anil Munkar. We all know that the branches of our religion are 10. We have two things. We have Usuluddin, which is related to our belief, our Aqidah. And then we have Furu'uddin, the branches of religion. Roots of religion, branches of religion. I'm sorry, I'm taking you to the basics. These are the things we learned in our childhood, but it will remain with us till our death. Usuluddin, Tawheed, Adalat, Nubuwwat, Imamat, Qiyamat. These are the 5 we must believe. Furu'uddin are 10. Namaz, Roza, Hajj, Zakat, Khums, Jihad. Loudly. Amr bil Ma'ruf, Nahi Anil Munkar, Tawalla, and Tabarra. We give importance to 8 of these wajibat. But when it comes to Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi Anil Munkar, to enjoin good to each other and to forbid evil to each other, we are very, very weak in this. Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi Anil Munkar, just like other wajibat, are obligatory upon us. There's no doubt about it. And if you refer to the Holy Quran, you will find that the practice of Amr and Nahi has been made obligatory upon us on both levels, on individual as well as collective level. With Amr and Nahi being wajib, obligatory on individual level, we will find in Surah Ali Imran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat linnas. You are the best of all nations who have been brought forth for the people. Why? تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر وتؤمنون بالله. Because you bid what is good, you forbid what is evil, and you firmly believe in Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing us who claim to be believers, that we are the best because of Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi Anil Munkar. In Surah At-Tawbah, Allah says, وَالْمُؤْمِنُونَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتِ بَعْضُهُمْ أَوْلِيَاءُ بَعْضٍ. The faithful men and faithful women are comrades of one another. Why? يَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَيَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنكَرِ. Because they bid what is good and they forbid what is evil. Allah is talking about this important aspect of our religion to us in this Quran. And then again we find in Surah Luqman, Luqman the wise. We have heard about him. He was not a prophet. Hazrat Luqman. He was a great wise man, known for his wisdom. There is an entire chapter in his name in the Holy Quran. Now, wisdom is of two kinds. One is self-acquired, either through knowledge and experiences of life or something else. We become wise. Another kind of wisdom is one which Allah gives. Allah bestows that wisdom upon some chosen people, like the prophets, like the A'immah, like the awliya. And not only that, even amongst ordinary people, when they are climbing the stages of Iman and they reach a certain stage, Allah blesses them with wisdom. He gives them ordinary people. This is God-given wisdom. Luqman alayhi salam was not a prophet. It is said about him in Riwayat that he was the nephew of Prophet Ayub, who lived in this world for 1,000 years, from the time of Prophet Dawood till the time of Prophet Yunus. This is what Riwayat says. And one night an angel came into his dream and he said that if you desire, Allah can appoint you as his prophet. This is also mentioned about him. So Luqman responds and he says that if this is the command of Allah, then I accept it. But if I'm given the choice, I would rather not accept it because it is a huge responsibility. So this is one riwayah. In another riwayah about Luqman, it is mentioned that he was an Ethiopian carpenter, Habashi Najjar, Ethiopian carpenter, who was extremely pious, spent in his entire life in silence and meditation. Silence itself is recommended. Of course, not when something wrong is happening up. But generally, it is silence we will find. Quran is talking about the fast of not talking. We fast in the month of Ramadan by not eating and drinking, isn't it? But there is a fast for not talking, like Maryam bint Imran after Jesus, Isa the Maryam was born. She was told to tell the people that I am fasting, I can not talk to you. This is what I have vowed. So he maintained his silence, and one attribute in him was such that Allah bestowed him with wisdom. He never rejoiced on anything he got of this world. And he never grieved on anything he lost of this world, including his children. This is one. We are overwhelmed, isn't it, when we get this dunya sometimes. Oh, we get so excited, so excited. Wow. We don't move from there. We are stuck in wow. Not hey, no, lamali, nothing. But wow. So, and the moment we lose something of this world, we grieve, however small it may be, and mourn, and sometimes make life miserable for others. If we misplace, for example, a house key or a car key, isn't it? It becomes a big musibat for us sometimes, and musibat for the family as well sometimes. It happens. Grieving even on smallest things in this life, petty issues. Big issues, we rebel against Allah. This is what happens. But Luqman alayhi salam never was overwhelmed, never expressed his joy and happiness for anything of this dunya that Allah blessed him with hikmah. And in Surah Luqman, Allah has mentioned the advices which Luqman gave to his son. There are a number of advices mentioned in the Quran, and there are much more mentioned in traditions, in riwayats, in ahadith. And one of the advice which he gave to his son, he said, Ya bunayya, oh my son, aqim as-salat. Make sure that you maintain your salat, your prayer. Wa'amur bil ma'ruf wa nahy anil munkar. Enjoin good and forbid evil. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Holy Quran, my brothers and sisters, reiterating time and again on the importance of doing Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi anil Munkar on that fateful night of 21st of Ramadan. Our first Imam was on his deathbed, and blood was oozing from the wound on his head that was inflicted by the sword of Abdul Rahman ibn Muljim, La'natullahi alayh. That was the final night of his life. Can you imagine what was his state? The riwayah says that due to that intense pain which Imam was suffering, indeed he was suffering, he was a human being. He was falling unconscious and then regaining his consciousness. Obviously, he is becoming unconscious doesn't mean he becomes ghafil like we. The level of wilayat is different. It's not our subject. But this was his condition. At one point, when he regained his strength, he called his family members and he did his wasiyah to him. And in that wasiyah, one of the things which the Imam has said before his death is, لا تتركوا الأمر بالمعروف والنهي عن المنكر. Remember, never neglect enjoining good and forbidding evil in this society to one another. If you do that, then what will happen? What will happen? Imam then says that Allah will put a tyrant and authority over you. And after that, even if you pray to Allah, He is not going to respond to you. And we know what happened. Those who did not join Imam Hussein when he was calling for help, we discussed last night. What was the outcome? Within 2 years after the tragedy of Karbala, Yazid invades Medina and desecrates Medina and Makkah, kills thousands of companions of Rasulullah. Why? Because they left their responsibility. So it is wajib on individual level as well. For example, in this life, if we see that somebody is doing something wrong, you know that this thing is wrong, there is no harm in telling him, Habibi, what you are doing is wrong, Allah is not pleased. You will have to pay for this in the hereafter. Guide each other and invite each other to goodness. If, for example, somebody has not come, this is a good act, and there is no doubt about it. Majlis is a good act. Now you have this beautiful center. Years you have struggled to build this center. This is a ni'mah of Allah for you. After having built this, if you don't attend, this is kufran ni'mah. You don't come. You choose only on certain occasions to come. We have this tendency, badi khushali or choti khushali, moti wafat ne nani wafat, isn't it? Discriminating amongst the imams of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam. You see somebody not coming, ask him, Baba, why are you not coming? Why your family is not coming? Why your children are not coming to madrasa? This is calling people towards ma'ruf, towards goodness. If there is an act that is happening of goodness, like charity, for example, invite people, tell them, please participate. There is no harm in saying, participate. Give your wealth, give your money for this cause. This is inviting people towards goodness and joining good and forbidding it. On individual level, we have been commanded. And on collective level as well. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلْتَكُمْ مِنْكُمْ أُمَّةٌ يَدْعُونَ إِلَى الْخَيْرِ وَيَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَيَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنكَرِ. There should be a group of people from among you who should be inviting others towards goodness, and they should be enjoining good and forbidding evil. وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. And they are the ones who will be felicitous, who will be successful. Ayatollah Nasir Makarim Shirazi, in his tafsir of this particular verse, he says that in addition to Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahy anil Munkar being wajib on every individual Muslim, the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that in every society, in every community, there should be a group of people who should be in agreement on Ma'ruf and Munkar. Not that there should be disagreement on Ma'ruf and Munkar. And then they should be collectively inviting people to good and forbidding evil. And then Ayatollah Nasir Makarim adds this statement. He said, and if this is not done, then that community is doomed. And this is what happens when Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahy anil Munkar stops in. Now, talking about Ma'ruf and Munkar, we should have knowledge of what is Ma'ruf and what is Munkar. Nowadays, what is happening is that people decide what is good and what is evil. And sometimes their decision is such that what Allah considers as good, they think it is evil. And what Allah considers as evil, they think it is good. And they literally preach. This happened. I'll give you an example, for example. Somebody was telling me some time back, said, you know, Molasa to shake hands with women is haram. Or to go with your colleagues to the bar. Although you are not going to consume the alcohol, but you go to the bar, sitting on the same table where alcohol is served. Although it is sinful, but more important than that is, now he's preaching me, more important is humanly relation, having good relation, not to isolate yourself. If I don't shake or hug that woman, in fact, he did not talk about shaking, he said I hugged, because in our office we hug each other. If we don't do that, she will feel bad because this is the norm in that place. Now for this person, is kambakh ke liye ma'roof hai. He thinks that this is goodness. Turning an evil act into goodness, his own decision. This is what is it. It is important that we understand what is ma'roof and what. And some people take cultural practices which are condemned by Islam to enforce it in the society, in the community. If I start giving examples, my brothers and sisters, I will go on and on and on, and I'm going to upset the apple cart, as they say. If I were to talk about those things, people will not like it. I'll remove all of you from your zones of comfort. But I'll cite one example in marital life. For example, what happens? We have come from India, we have come from Pakistan, that is our background. We are Indians, whether we are coming from Kenya or we are coming from Tanzania, our origin is from there. When we moved from India to Africa, we carried our baggages from there. And when we moved to the West, we still brought those baggages, cultural baggages, with us. That has got absolutely nothing to do with Islam. Absolutely nothing to do with Islam. And we made it as though this is Islam. If you wanted to go into details, get it. So my brothers and sisters, this is Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahy anil Munkar. Wajib upon us, obligatory upon us on both levels, on individual as well as collective levels. Why do people neglect these two wajibat, Amr and Nahi? Why? What is the reason? And we will find that the ulama have actually pointed out some reasons. They have given some reasons. This is because of these reasons, you will find that people usually, reason number one is people are ignorant. They think that the wrongdoings and sins of other people will not affect them. Why? Because they are doing their best and striving to protect themselves. So the sins which others are committing, whether it is in their homes or in the society in which they are living, is not going to affect them. They will be safe. This is what they think. This is one of the reasons. Well, it's not affecting us. They are doing karne do. Humko kya? The reality is, the truth is, even if we are working hard and striving, and I'm saying we, including the Maulanas, even the scholars, we strive to protect ourselves and our families. In a sinful environment, we are bound to be affected by the society, the sins that have been committed in the society, whether we want to believe in it or not. And this is what is known as passive sinning. I don't know if you've heard about it. Passive sinning. And if we do not practice Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi anil Munkar in that society, this passive sinning is going to lead us to active sinning. This is true. Let me give you an example. At every airport, there is a smoking lounge. Yeah? Those who are smokers, when they are traveling, when they arrive at their destination, before they even go to immigration and customs, you are set in the aeroplane where you can't smoke 7 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours. The first thing they do is they look for where is a smoking lounge. And whenever I have been there, I have seen it's always packed with travelers. This is before even going to duty free. They've just come out of the airplane. Some airports provide that facility for you on your way to immigration or on the way to duty free shops. Packed. You go inside and you smoke. Now imagine yourself, if you are a non-smoker, you have a friend who is a smoker, and to give him company, you enter into that lounge. Just imagine. Some lounges are very comfortable, vast, and although there is smell, but in many countries, it's unbearable. What will happen to you if you are a non-smoker? You will feel suffocation. You will not feel good, isn't it? It is affecting you. This is called what? Passive smoking, isn't it? Forget about airport lounges. Even outside here, if somebody was to smoke where people are standing, for example, and these people are not smoking, they feel suffocated. That smell is not good. They are not happy. They are upset with it. And that is why this concept came in passive smoking. So there should be an area that should be designated for the smoker. And similarly, my brothers and sisters, same goes for the sins and the wrongdoings in the society. However much we struggle in this life to protect ourselves, we will be affected by the sins and wrongdoings of the society, whether we like it or not. Physically not, but our ruh will be suffocated. Our souls will be suffocated. There is no doubt. A time will come that the wrongdoings and sins that are happening in the community will not affect you. You will get so used to it that you'll say, we are used to these things. The example is the advertisements you see on your television inside your home. Isn't it true? Would we bring alcohol in our homes? We would never even think. If we are true believers, we would not even do that. But the ad is running. The advertisement. Would you wear a t-shirt? Huh? Advertising an alcohol? Would you do that? No, you would not. Although it's a t-shirt, you are not drinking, but you will avoid because you know it is haram. You can't do this. But there is an advertisement going on your television. You can't forward it. You can rewind Sky, but you can't forward. So what are you going to do? You can't. Initially, you'll change the channel, but then say, "Oh, challenge. Chalta kahan peene jayenge." It's not going to affect. The fact that you have agreed this to run in your own home shows that you are passively sinning. Not you, but there is a possibility if it settles in the minds of your children, they will do that. And that is why it is said about the Holy Prophet, Kana Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. Yastaghfirullah sab'ina marratin fikum. The Holy Prophet, who was ma'soom, who was an infallible, used to do istighfar of Allah 70 times a day. 70 times. He was a ma'soom. He was protected. But in that society of wrongdoings, in society which is surrounded by sins, he was teaching us, keep on seeking refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for these things. And do istighfar. So when you see anything haram, say astaghfirullah. Astaghfirullah. Oh Allah, I seek your forgiveness. Allah will protect you. Because these words you think are meaningless, but they have got effect on the ruler, on this world. So this is one of the reasons we think that guys, we are doing our best. It's not a, why should we bother what others are doing? You're mistaken. Well, there's number two. We want to be in good books of other people. Because we know that if we keep on telling people to do good and forbid them from evil, people will cut off their relation. I imagine amongst you, if this is a situation, amongst people like us who recite from the mimbar and say what is halal and what is haram, people actually run away from us. Some Jamaats don't even invite us. I'll be right next time. It's part of our experience in life, because what is he going to say? He's going to say, this is halal, this is haram, this is halal, this is haram. Yeah? Being good and forbidding. There are people who want to be in good books with everybody, with Zalim and Mazloom, with Qatil and Maqtul, with everybody. They want to be good. So much so that everybody is talking good about him. Everybody, regardless. When such a person dies, the Muslims are actually wanting to give him ghusl and bury him. The Hindus actually come forward and wanting to cremate him. The Parsis actually want to take his body and give it to the vultures. So he was such a wonderful person, very humble person, never confrontational. This is the reason why Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi anil Munkar is being neglected in this society. And this is not the tradition and culture of the Ahlul Bayt. You know what is the culture? What is the tradition of the Ahlul Bayt? Both to attract the people and to repel them. To attract the people and to repel them. Amirul Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi attracted people. Salman al-Farsi was attracted. Jabir bin Abdullah was attracted. Abi Dhar al-Ghifari, Yasir was attracted to Amirul, and there were those who were repelled. Muawiyah was repelled. Marwan was repelled by Amirul Mu'mineen and their likes. Isn't it true? Talha and Zubair. That is history. If Imam Ali wanted, he would have been good. In fact, when he became the Khalif, Muawiyah already had his grip in Sham, and Ibn Abbas guided him politically. Listen to this, politically. He said to him, Ali, if you are going to touch Muawiyah, there's going to be a problem. Because he has been put there by the second Khalif, and he carried on in the reign of the third Khalif. And he has now full grip in Sham. Best thing for you is go slow with him. Politically, go slow. Aste, handle him. Otherwise, it's going to be a big problem. You know what Amirul Mu'minin said? By Allah, I cannot compromise between Haqq and Batil. This cannot happen. He is Batil, he is not fit to be the governor of Sham. He has therefore to live, come what may. Come. And this has been the seerah of the Ahlul Bayt, Imam Hussein's movement in Karbala. He could have done what Abdullah bin Umar did, we discussed last night. Why he should confront? If he would have given allegiance, everybody would have been secure. And today Islam would have been different. We would be having Islam of Yazid and not Islam of Quran or Islam of Muhammad or Islam of the Ahlul Bayt. Things would have been different. This is the second reason. Oh, if I'm going to say My family will run away from me. My friends, the community people will not like me. I don't worry about that. Huh? Imam Hussein alayhi salam in Dua Arafah says, Oh Allah, one who gets you, what has he lost? And one who has lost you, what has he got? जो तुझे पाया उसने क्या खोया, जिसने तुझे खोया उसने क्या पाया. If you are on haq, don't worry. Allah is with you. He is with us. Our fourth Imam says that if I was thrown on an isolated island where there is no inhabitant there, I am all by myself. If I had nothing with me except Quran, I would be at ease and peace. Allah, the connection. This is the second reason. And the third reason is we want to opt out from our responsibility very easily. An easy way out. By what? By means of dua. Something evil is happening in the society. I do not want to take any action because number one, I think it's not going to affect me. Number two, I need to be in good books of people. So the only thing I can do, I can pray to Allah. Ya Allah, Ya Allah. This is happening. Please give them tawfiq so that they come to the right path. Huh? Isn't it true? आप दुआ कीजिए कि खुदा इन्हें तौफीक दे, ये बात को समझे और दीन की तरफ. Is this helpful? Now imagine yourself, you are flying 30,000 feet in the air. You are in an aeroplane and suddenly somebody stands up and goes and attempts to open the exit door. You are seated there. What will happen? You are not on the ground, huh? You are in the air. And it has happened, for your information, a couple of years ago. In certain places in India and in Bangladesh, people do not have toilets in their homes, so they have to go out. A young Bengali boy, this was in BBC, and if you Google it, you will get this. This is true. This is what has happened. One Bengali boy for the first time was traveling to a Middle East country to work. First time had boarded the aeroplane. He wanted to go and relieve himself. He thought he has to open the door. The moment he rose from his bed, it was hue and cry. What is he doing? This is what happened. Now you are seated there. And in front of you, somebody is standing and attempting. What are you going to do? What am I? Ya Allah, please give him tawfiq not to open the door. Yeah? Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim. What's this? Is it logical? Or you will stand up and stop him because you know that if he is successful in opening that, you will also go. All those who are there will go with him. Everyone will go. This is the concept of Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahy anil Munkar. My brothers and sisters, to protect and safeguard our Iman which has come to us. If we shun and neglect this responsibility, we are going to sink with the doers of wrong and the sinful people. And there is no doubt about it. Imam alayhi salam made it very clear when he departed from Medina. This is what I desire to do. He revived and gave life to Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahy anil Munkar. And as Hussein I had said, that our discussion will be about Imam's mission and our responsibilities. As the azadan of Imam, we must give importance to Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahy. We must guide each other. And in addition to that, there should always be in every community, in every society, a group of learned people who are aware of what is ma'ruf and munkar, what is good and what is evil, who should be discharging this duty of calling people to goodness and forbidding them from evil. And when we talk about enjoining good and forbidding evil, I'm not saying that you go and fight against it. There's a community of mu'min. There are ways of doing Amr bil Ma'ruf. And that is why Allah says a group of people who are in agreement on Ma'ruf and Munkar, they should take this responsibility. This is one of the lessons which we learn from the life of Imam Hussein alayhi salam in his great movement. As Azadar, we tread upon this path. Mu'mineen, it is the eve of Arba'in, 40th, the martyrdom of Imam and the Shuhada. Tomorrow will be the day. One of the deeds which is highly recommended on the day of Arba'in is to recite the ziyarah of Arba'in. We should make sure that we recite this ziyarah because there is a great ajr. In addition to that, there is a tradition from our 11th Imam that one of the signs of a Shia is Ziyarat Arba'in. If we can go to Karbala, we should go to Karbala. If we are unable to go to Karbala, then wherever we are, we should send salutations of Abba Abdullah Hussein Abdul of Arba'in. Sometimes I wonder which of the masa'ib that befell upon the Ahlul Bayt should I be talking about? Wallah. The Ahlul Bayt were taken as captives and were brought into Sham, into Damascus. And it has been narrated that they were not placed in one prison only. They were put into 3 different kinds of prisons, one after another. The first prison in which Ali Muhammad was put, it is stated in Riwayat that there was no roof on that prison. During the day, the Ahlul Bayt, due to heat, were burning in that prison. And at night, due to cold, they were shivering. Just try to imagine. This is the household of Muhammad, the women folk of the household, the children of Muhammad. This is the first prison. Then they were shifted to another prison. In that prison, there is a beautiful narration which says that in that prison, what they noticed is that there were so many holes. Holes of what? Of scorpions and snakes. Of Sham. When they were brought into that prison, Sayyida Zainab noticed that the scorpions and the snakes had come out, all of them, from their holes. And it was as if there was some kind of commotion amongst them. So she turned to her nephew and she said, Sayyida Zainab, can you tell me what are these Hasharatul Ard saying, talking about? Imam, we have been taught the languages of the birds and we have been given everything. These are the Imams. And the Imam turns to his aunt and he says, do you know, Aunt Zainab, what are they saying? They are warning each other and they are telling each other, be careful, this is the household of Muhammad. This is the household of Muhammad. Zainab turns towards Medina and says, oh grandfather, what has happened? We have scorpions and snakes showing their mercy upon us, but your ummah, your nation has shown no mercy upon us. And the third prison was such a prison that there was only one door and there were no windows in it. It was completely dark. And it is said that it is in this prison, when Sakina bint al-Hussein came, she told her aunt Zainab, oh aunt, it seems that I'm not going to survive in this prison. The Ahlul Bayt were put in this prison. Sayyid Sajjad, who was in shackles, used to sit by the door of that prison, and the riwayat tells us that Sakina would come and stand by the side of her brother. And in the evenings, when she would see the birds flying, she would ask, she would say, "Oh brother, where are these birds flying to?" And he would say, "They are returning back to their nest." She would ask, "Oh brother, when are we going to go to our homes?" Sayyid Sajjad would look at him, at her, and he would just cry, telling himself, "Oh Sakina, what should I tell you? There is a day coming when we will return home, but Sakina, you will be here till the day of judgment." In another riwayah, it is mentioned that Sakina would be standing next to her brother, and when people would pass by, she would extend her small hands out towards them, and she would tell them, "Oh Muslims, if you happen to meet by chance my father or my uncle Abul Abbas on the way, tell them that Sakina is not going to survive in this prison." In आखिर इसी जिंदान में सकीना का इंतकाल हो गया। रिवायतों के अंदर हमें ये मिलता है कि जनाब सकीना के इंतकाल के बाद जब तक आले मोहम्मद उस जिंदान में रहे हैं, हर शाम के वक्त किसी खातून के रोने की आवाज आती थी जो ये कहती थी, "वाह हुसैना, वाह सुखैना।" हाँ, हज़ादारों शब अरबईन है और दस्तूर ज़ाकिरों का ये है कि इस शब को आले मोहम्मद की रिहाई जिंदान से क्यों कर हुई, ये बयान करते हैं। तारीख के अंदर हमें ये मिलता यजीद की मुखालिफत में कुछ कहे, लेकिन आज सड़कों पर यजीद के खिलाफ चर्चे होने लगे, लाअन और ताअन होने लगे। यजीद को खबर हुई, घबरा गया, कहीं इनकलाब ना आ जाए। उसने ये तय किया कि आले मोहम्मद को जिंदान शाम से रिहा कर दिया जाए। सैयद सज्जाद को जिंदान से बुलाया गया। अरबाब आज़ा, हाथों में हथकड़ियां, पाँव में बेरियां, गले में खारदार तोक। आहिस्ता आहिस्ता सैयद सज्जाद जिंदान से निकले हैं। शहजादी ज़ैनब आकर जिंदान के दरवाजे पर खड़ी हो गई। सैयद सज्जाद ने फूफी की तरफ देखा, कहा, "फूफी अम्मा, आप बेफिक्र रहिए, यजीद मेरा कुछ भी नहीं बिगाड़ सकता।" ये कहकर सैयद सज्जाद चले यजीद के दरबार में पहुंचे हैं तो तारीख में मिलता है कि पहली बार यजीद अपने तख्त से खड़ा हो गया, इमाम का इस्तकबाल किया, इमाम को लाकर अपने नजदीक बिठाया और गौर से सैयद सज्जाद की तरफ कुछ देर तक देखता रहा। गौर से सैयद सज्जाद की तरफ देखता रहा। मौला ने पूछा, "ए यजीद, जरा ये तो बताओ कि तू क्या देख रहा है?" कहा, "ए अली इब्नुल हुसैन, जरा ये तो बताओ कि ये तोक जो तुम्हारे गले में है, ये तोक तुमने कब से पहना?" समझा आपने आज़ादारों? उस जमाने में जब भी किसी असीर को तोक पहनाया जाता था तो कैसा तोक होता था? ऐसा तोक होता था कि जिसके कांटे बाहर के हिस्से में होते थे और उसके पीछे एक कड़ी होती थी जिसे खोल दिया जाता था किसी को पहनाने के लिए। लेकिन जो तोक आबिदे बीमार को करबला में पहनाया गया, उसके कांटे अंदर के हिस्से में थे और उसके पीछे कोई कड़ी नहीं थी। बस आप अंदाजा लगाएं कि ये तो किस तरह इन्होंने करबला में इमाम को पहनाया होगा। इस तरह पहनाया कि सर से लेकर गले तक उतारा, जिसकी वजह से सैयद सज्जाद जब भी नमाज के लिए खड़े होते, रुकू में जाते, सजदे में जाते तो ताजा खून जख्मों से बहने लगता। मौला ने कहा, "ए यजीद, क्या तुझे पता नहीं, उस वक्त से पहना हूं जब करबला से चला हूं।" हद्दाद को बुलवाया गया, आके उसने तोप को खोला, हथकड़ियां और बेरियां काटी। उसके बाद यजीद ने कहा, "ए अली इब्नुल हुसैन, मैंने तुम्हें रिहाई दे दी, अगर तुम चाहो यहाँ ठहर जाओ, चाहो तो मदीना वापस चले जाओ और अली इब्नुल हुसैन जो कीमत तुम मांगोगे खूब बहा देने के लिए मैं तैयार हूँ। हम मौला ने यजीद की तरफ देखा, कहा यजीद बगैर अपनी फूफी को पूछे हुए मैं कुछ भी नहीं बता सकता। कहा अली इब्नुल हुसैन जाओ पूछ आओ। मौला खड़े हुए जिंदान की तरफ चले। तारीख में मिलता है शहजादी ज़ैनब जिंदान के दरवाजे पर खड़ी थी, जो ही नजर अली इब्नुल हुसैन पर पड़ी, सैयद सज्जाद पर पड़ी, पहली बार देखा गले में धारदार तोप नहीं, हाथों में हथकड़ियां नहीं, पाँव में बेड़ियां नहीं, खुशी के आंसू बहने लगे। सैयद सज्जाद आए, शहजादी ने पूछा बेटा सैयद सज्जाद यजीद ने क्या कहा? कहा फूफी अम्मा रिहाई दे दी गई है और कहा जी चाहे तो यहाँ रह सकते हैं और जी चाहे तो मदीना भी जा सकते हैं। और ए फूफी अम्मा यजीद बाबा का खूब बहा देने के लिए भी तैयार है। कहा बेटा सैयद सज्जाद जाकर यजीद से कहो हम हुसैन का खूब बहा नहीं लेंगे, अगर खूब बहा देना चाहता है रोज़े महशर मेरी माँ फातिमा को दे, और यजीद से कहो हम यहाँ नहीं रहेंगे, हम मदीना जाएंगे, लेकिन सबसे पहले हमारे लिए एक मकान मुहैया किया जाए, खाली कर दिया जाए। जब से करबला से चली हूँ जी भर के मजाए पर आंसू न बहा सकी, मैं चाहती हूँ अपने भाई के सफे मातम बिछाऊं। अज़ादारो शहर दमिश्क में एक मकान खाली किया गया, तमाम सैदानियां उस घर के अंदर आई, ऐलान आम हुआ, शाम की औरतों ज़ैनब हुसैन की बहन ने अपने भाई के सफे मातम बिछाई है, जो पुरसा देने के लिए जाना चाहता है फुला मकाम में चला जाए। पहली बार शाम की औरतें सियाह लिबास पहनकर अपने घरों से निकल पड़ी, उस मकान में आई जहां तमाम बीबियां जमा थी। रिवायतों के अंदर हमें मिलता है कि सबसे पहले शुहदाए करबला का सर एक के बाद एक आने लगा। सबसे पहले इमाम मजलूम का सर आया, शहजादी ज़ैनब ने बढ़कर अपने माजाए के सर को लिया, सीने से लगाया। अब्बास का सर आया, उम्मे कुलसूम ने लिया, कासिम का सर उम्मे फरवा ने लिया। फिर रावी कहता है कि एक मर्तबा एक तश्त आया कि जिसमें एक खूबसूरत सा सर नजर आया। जो ये सर नजर आया एक मर्तबा तमाम बीबियां खामोश हो गई। एक ज़ईफा पीछे से खड़ी हुई, कहा अल्लाह करे इस जवान की मां जिंदा रहे, अल्लाह करे इस जवान की मां जिंदा न हो। उम्मे लैला खड़ी हुई, आगे बढ़ी, अकबर का सर लिया, सीने से लगाया, कहा बेटा अकबर काश तुम्हारी ये मां जिंदा न होती। उसके बाद आखिर में दो छोटे छोटे सर रह गए, जिसका पूछने वाला कोई न था। किसी ने कहा ऐसा लगता है कि इसकी इन बच्चों की मां जिंदा नहीं है। शहजादी ज़ैनब ने उसकी तरफ देखा, कहा ए खातून यूं मत कहो, इन बच्चों की मां मैं हूं, लेकिन जब तक जिंदा रहूंगी मां जाए को रहूंगी, अपने बच्चों को नहीं रहूंगी। अज़ादारो उसके बाद लुटा हुआ सामान आने लगा एक के बाद एक। मैंने आपकी जहमत को तमाम किया। दो चीजें ऐसी आई, एक सैदानियों में एक मर्तबा कोहराम बर्पा हो गया, एक हुसैन का खून भरा कुर्ता था। जब आया है शहजादी ज़ैनब ने बरकत लिया, सीने से लगाया, कहा अब इस कुर्ते को मैं नाना की कब्र पर ले जाऊंगी, कहूंगी नाना आपकी उम्मत ने आपके नवासे को इस तरह कत्ल किया। और दूसरी चीज एक रूमाल था जो आया, साहिब औलाद का मजमा है ये रूमाल। जब आया है शहजादी ज़ैनब ने रूमाल को खोला, उसके अंदर सकीना के कानों की बालियां थी, गोशवारे थी। रबात की नजर पड़ी, चिल्लाकर कहा सकीना दिन रात शिकायत करती थी अम्मा, जो गोशवारे बाबा ने ईद के दिन पहनाए थे जालिम मुझसे ले गए। ए सकीना उठो, तुम्हारे कानों की बालियां। मातम हुसैन इल्तिमास दुआ।